Hi, this is Katie with craftingwithkatie.com, and today I'm going to show you how I created this card by welding various shapes on my Gypsy. You can see it's a little trifold card. It takes a little bit of time, but once you make your original base, you can reuse it with all different shapes and words on it. Okay, the first thing you're going to want to do is select a 24 by 12 mat. And the reason for that is to make this card an A2 size card, you're going to want it 12 inches wide. So when you fold that, it'll be 4 inches wide. And then the first thing is to have your real dial size button on and find a cartridge that has a rectangle. Now I happen to know, because I use it often, that Don Juan has a rectangle. So I'm going to choose that. And if I hit Shift, it's right here. Okay, now you're going to want to take off this link button and make the width of the rectangle 12 inches. The height you should make 1.5 inches. Okay, so that's the base. Now the next part we want to do is another rectangle, so I'm actually just going to go to my Advanced tab, copy this one, go back to Basic, and for this part I want to keep it at 1.5 inches, but my width I'm going to change to 7.9 inches. And I figured this out just by trial and error. Okay, so once you have that, you're going to want to line it up on the left side. If you zoom in, you can see exactly where you are. You want it to be just touching. You can use your arrow key to get it just right, and you can see that line disappears. That tells me it's overlapping. Alright, to get the center part of my card, I actually went to Wildcard because they have some liners for envelopes, and it worked out to have that perfect arch shape. So I'm going to click on Liner. This is all the card liners, so if you hit Shift you get the envelope liners. And this is the one I want, so I'll select that. And again, trial and error, I figured out I should make my height 5.5 inches, because that's the height of the card. And I figured out the width should be 3.9 inches. Okay, now that we're going to overlap and line up just at that edge of the rectangle we just made. So again, if you zoom in, then go ahead and use your arrow key, get it lined up just right. There we go. So that's the first part. Now if you like to make this style of card, I would just go ahead and weld this together and save it, and then you can do this for any type of card that you want. But we're going to be specifically making the Christmas card. So the next step is to go to the Christmas Solutions cartridge. Now this one I believe was a free download with a Gypsy, which is this one right here. And we're going to be using this tree, and we're going to size it at 5 inches. But we're going to put the linking button back on because we don't want a tall skinny tree. Everything's still real dial size. And before we go ahead and put that where we want it, we don't want all of these little notches. So what we're going to do is go to the Advanced tab and click this so we can do the hide contour. And we're going to just have to go through and hide all of the little pieces. Okay, now before I weld this, I'm going to copy it because I'm going to want to use one for a layer. Now this one I'm just going to bring over here, and I'm not actually even going to weld it yet. I'm just going to put it where I want. Go lower it down a little bit. It's pretty well centered. Okay, so the last part for the base of the card is my sentiment, and I found that on Joys of the Season. And it's right here, Merry Christmas, but this cut out so thin that I went ahead and did the shadow to make it a little thicker. And I made this at 2.5 inches. We'll go back to the basic. Okay, and again, I'm going to want to copy this so I can have a layer. Put that there for later. And there's actually one other thing we have to do to the Merry Christmas. If we don't hide Christmas, it's going to cut it out. So we have to go again to where we can hide contour. We're going to keep the Merry, oops, and we're going to get rid of the Christmas part. And it won't look funny when we put the card together because we'll have it with our layer. Okay, so those are all of my parts. And the next step is to group them all together. So I'm going to hit my group button. So far I have the Merry, now I have that center liner, I have the tree, I have that middle rectangle, and now I have the bottom rectangle. And if I go to advance, I can weld them all together and hit the eyeball to see where it's going to cut. And it's exactly how I want it. The red is going to be where it cuts. Okay, there's one more thing we have to do, and that is to make the liner for the liner. So we're going to go back to Wildcard. I'm not going to try to pull it, copy it right from the original one because those are all welded together right now. I should have done this in the beginning, but that's okay. We can find it. So there's the liner. And I'm going to go ahead and size it how I had it originally, which was 5.5 inches by 3.9. Okay, now I'm going to put this right on top of the original, just so I can shrink it down a little bit and see how it's going to look. Okay, so there it is. Now I'm going to hit this button to make it smaller. That looks pretty good to me. I'll just check on the bottom. Yes, so I'm going to just take that, put it over here. That'll be another layer. So that ended up being 3.69 inches by 5.21 inches. So that's about it. Then you're just going to go ahead and pick your papers and go ahead and cut it. Okay, so we are back to the card, which is all assembled. But you can see the Merry Christmas I cut in red and just adhered it on top. And actually, if I turn this over, you can see, well, kind of this way, you can see how it looks when you cut it out. So you're going to just adhere that liner in whatever pattern paper you choose. I just kind of measured, eyeballed this, and cut a rectangle of brown polka dot paper to put here. Then I put the layer with the tree, which I stamped with some paper tray ink stamps. It's called Holiday Lights, which is really fun. And then the Merry Christmas on top, and I just added some white stitching. So for more information on any of the products you used, you can visit Everyday Cricut, which is called cricutholidays.com. I'm guest designing for them today, and the post should be dated November 16th, 2011. Thanks for watching. Bye.